How are you, Truck O's? How are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you for asking. How are you? I'm fine. How are you?
Wait, was that last one directed to me? Or still to the Truckos?
No. This one's directed at you, though. How are you?
I'm alright. It's interesting to listen to this, to record this Trucks right after I listen to the previous month's Trucks, as I tend to do when they come out. Just to really underscore how little time has passed in the last month. Because the vibe has not appreciably changed.
My vibe has changed a bit. Monica's healthy now. That changes things.
That is definitely an improvement over the feeling of immediate despair that we encountered last.
My missing roommate has returned, so it feels, it's kind of like being in a different place because it's a different group of people here. So that changes the vibe as well.
Here, it's starting to return to normal, but that is in itself distressing because it shouldn't yet. And yet, all around me, all that I see is people wandering around like fools.
To steal a tweet that I saw on the Twitter, something like, uniquely American that we all got bored of the lockdown, so we decided it's over now.
There have been a lot of uniquely American slams. I don't think that is uniquely American.
Perhaps.
I think that is the case pretty much everywhere that doesn't have a legal lockdown. I suppose one of those instances in which the British mentality is better than ours is that they have no qualms about pursuing quasi-fascist measures to keep people inside there. Whereas here, that has pretty much only been levied against black and poor people. So
America needs a sense of collectivism, man.
We don't have one of those.
Yeah,
and
we
that
don't.
Actually kind of brings me to a subject that I've wanted to talk about, which is politics.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. I actually don't want to talk about this, to be honest. I don't think there's much to gain from it. But I've been wrestling with my politics lately because, as longtime listeners will know, my politics tend to swing toward liberal incrementalism, and that doesn't make any fucking sense. In the face of what's currently happening, there might have been a time when I could have, flattered myself into thinking that would make some sense in the long run, but I gotta say right now it's not looking so hot for the liberal incrementalists in the face of this, blatant and completely unprincipled move to murder poor people for the profit of the rich. I don't want to go further than that. I want to say pending the outcome of the next election. And it's not even the presidential election that I'm talking about, it's more the congressional elections. Because if we don't actually swing back to the left as a result of this, then I'm throwing up my hands in despair and burying myself in the comfortable nihilism of the American left. But a thing that I want to say is, we've had a couple of conversations after this. When I had my pants pulled down by being a Hillary supporter last election. Like, my pants were thoroughly down by the end of that. But I will say that I'm right about this.
Okay.
This is what I'm right about.
Yes.
There is never going to be socialism in this country.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that we all want our own houses, and we don't want anybody telling us what to do. And that is a mentality that is common across the political spectrum. We do not want to engage in social responsibility unless it is voluntary. We do not want to be forced to do anything we don't want to. And the baseline American cultural religion is capitalism and individualism. And so there will never be a Bernie elected president. So the question becomes, what happens after that? Because there absolutely is no invisible socialist majority, and even the people who support Bernie don't even have the, and I'm talking about this from like witnessing it firsthand, they don't even have the moral coherency to not continue to enrich the richest man on the planet with their purchasing decisions.
Sure.
You know, it's like I go around all fucking week, all fucking weekend, you know, working right now in the quarantine, you know, 11, 12-hour days, delivering Amazon parcels to, you know, the people of the people of Little Beirut, the people of Southeast Portland, who are theoretically the, you know, the liberal elite of the liberal elite, who, you know, with their Bernie and Elizabeth Warren yard signs, absolutely are still buying shit from Jeff Bezos, absolutely still supporting the, you know, this person who is cavalierly killing his own employees. And they know that. Anybody who isn't like, anybody who is like remotely plugged into the political or social scene knows that that's happening, and they do it anyway. And so I'm like, okay, so, you know, these are your principles, but they don't actually impinge on your personal behavior. And that's the problem. Like, my principles are fine, but don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to spend my money. Don't tell me to make sacrifices. And that is why there will not be any meaningful, like, any meaningful step back from the ideology of endless expansion and consumption unless we are fucking forced to. Mm-hmm. And now that I've gotten that off my chest, the question becomes, what is there to do in light of that as an American? And of course the answer that I come back to over and over is to try to do your little part as well as you can. You know.
Which is?
Well, in my instance, it's, you know, I don't give money to the people who are the most evil. I only give money to people who are moderately evil. Which is fucking shit. It's nothing, you know?
Yeah.
I still have to participate. I've been having like this sort of internal struggle over the concept that we during the Occupy movement, the left kind of settled on there was no ethical consumption over capitalism rebuttal to the, well, you're protesting against capitalism while drinking your Starbucks and taking video on your cell phone, you know, thing that the right liked to throw back at us during that period.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. And also, like, I drive to work instead of biking to work, even though that's bad for the planet. And I understand that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism thing is designed as a defense against paralysis, because you can get sucked into sort of Wallace Shawn the fever / you know.
It's traceable back to just a critique of capitalism rather than like a defense of particular behaviors under capitalism, isn't it? Like, it's,
yeah, I mean that's what that is where that phrase originates from.
Right, but people do use it to sort of like,
it is used to be like, I can actually,
you know,
I can actually do whatever I want.
I still have to exist in the society that I exist in.
Everything is equally bad. Yeah, and it is in fact the case that not everything is equally bad. You can still make personal decisions that will make the world a better place, in your own little way. And it's just like not even trying to do that is what gets me. Mm-hmm. Just the revelation that the people who actually attempt to live their lives in a sort of generally principled way tend to be the people with the least buying power.
Yeah.
And who would be making the least difference anyway. I don't know, man. There
are real leftists out there, you know. There are people who spend their
100%.
lives like organizing food drives and like raising money for prisoners and whatever you want. You know?
Oh, absolutely. No, they exist, but they do not constitute a voting bloc.
No, many of them are also the people who say you shouldn't vote Democrat this election, The theory being, I suppose, that even if you do elect a bunch of down ballot progressives, like the Democratic Party is explicitly designed to pull those people to the left from the inside, and the best
to the right,
hope.
you mean?
Yeah, I do mean to the right, or toward the center, I think is what I really meant to say. But it's probably more accurate to say to the right. I guess the idea is, there's no hope to be gained by placing our hope in a party that's designed to thwart these intentions.
Yeah, and we've seen over and over, like, it's extremely difficult to deny that the Democratic Party is in fact designed to thwart these intentions, and over the course of the pandemic have taken a number of have made a number of, like, state level Democratic parties have made a number of decisions that seem explicitly designed to make it more difficult to challenge incumbents, and to make sure that the tottering pile of meat that is Joe Biden. And
they're not even being particularly subtle about it
now. Yeah, they're not bothering to cover their tracks at all. Like, it makes them look like weak hypocrites when it comes to the voter suppression arguments that desperately need to be made because they're engaging in similar practices themselves. It does make one despair of the Democratic Party as like a viable hope for actual systemic change. But the question then becomes, like, okay, so you say don't vote for the Democrats, then what? Things will get worse much faster if you don't vote for the Democrats. Like, is that the goal?
The goal is to show the Democrats that they can't win unless they change their act, and that's no doubt that's a gambit, a
I'm
potentially very
100%
dangerous
certain
gambit.
that they can't win even if they do change their act.
Wait, what's proven?
I said I am 100% certain. It's
not
not saying that it's proven, but I'm saying that if the Democrats, like, if the Democratic Party woke up tomorrow and reinvented itself as like a viciously partisan hard left party that, like, did things like, outlawing multi-level marketing and putting in actual strict financial regulations and climate standards, and
I think it might help. I think it might help.
I think it might help, but I don't think that they would be elected. I do not. I genuinely do not think that there is a invisible majority out there that supports that kind of stuff.
They would have to market it well. They would have to brand themselves effectively. They can't just say.
They're not good at that, though.
I know they're not, but they might be better.
The harder left you get, the worse you are at that.
I think that if they gave themselves something worth selling, they might be able to find a way to sell it.
I want to believe that, but I so struggle to see a way to get from A to B.
Yeah.
I so struggle to see, like, okay,
Me too, man. The only plans available all seem like severely imperfect.
Yeah, it's true.
You either stay the course and keep enabling the criminal pricks, or you risk it all on a last-ditch effort to really fix it, and either one of those ideas could end in total disaster.
That is true. It's certainly the more sort of principled stand that you can take to go the latter route.
I would say so.
But you are then guaranteeing that in the short term things will get a lot worse. So you have to then accept the fact that more and more working class people will die, and more irreparable harm will be done to the things that we care about in this country and our institutions, including the one that currently employs me. If if the Democratic Party doesn't win a majority in Congress / the presidency in the next election, the Postal Service is probably gone. And so Is that a sacrifice that I'm willing to make in order to, hope that the Democrats miraculously pull their thumb out and start, advocating for real change? I mean, I'm looking at other countries where this kind of shit has happened, and they didn't end up going hard left after that. They ended up, as a large part, sort of diving into a slough of center-right, mercantilism that continues to this day, except with privatized public services and the grinding degradation of public life just sort of continues apace, as does the increase in wealth disparity between the rich and the poor. I haven't seen the point where it goes, where that sort of switch gets flipped. And so, like, yeah, I kind of would prefer to maintain these institutions.
Are there countries where it has happened, but then the CIA has fucked it all up?
Now, I'm talking about France, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about, are there other countries where... Because I know that I'm not a big expert on international political history, but I do know that it is frequently levied against the CIA that they overthrow leftist governments. So what I'm asking is, what does it look like if that doesn't happen?
But it looks like the UK, it looks like France. Mm-hmm. Which are countries that have given themselves over to the right wing and have had their social services networks privatized, and the UK seems to be on course for an endless string of moderate to hardcore right-wing governments.
Sure.
And France has a sort of Tony Blair style centrist leftist government, which is still in favor of union busting and privatizing. It's like the place in sort of the development of a country where you can make this sort of switch happens, like, we've already passed it, I think. These countries that we're talking about where they had their revolutions, right? They threw off international control, and then there was this decision to make: what kind of government will we have? What kind of nation will we be? And in those cases where that was going to be a leftist government, in a lot of cases, the political influence of the United States during the Cold War overthrew those governments. So there was not the case to be made that those leftist governments cannot function, because they do function. In cases where the CIA was not able to do that, in the case of, like, Cuba. And also there's plenty of countries that were within the that were firmly within the political sphere of the USSR that were bolstered and protected by their secret services. Mm-hmm. And those got along fine. But the human rights records of those nations are not great.
Sure.
If you were in a socialist communist nation in that time, it still sucked. Particularly if you were, gay or non-conforming in other ways, or on the government's shit list for whatever reason, or weren't paying your bribes. I think that sort of democracy is the goal here. But it was those countries that sort of had functional democracies that found themselves the most easily co-opted, corrupted, overthrown by either totalitarian right-wing or totalitarian left-wing countries, or political movements backed up by the large geopolitical patrons that enabled them. Oh my God, help me talk about something else.
I don't know, man. You told me you want to talk about politics.
I don't know, man. I'm so tired. I worked so many hours this week delivering shit to fucking consumers.
Oh, fuck, the exit I need to take is closed. Let's look at the map. Here's something to talk about. It's the map. I don't have much to contribute to these conversations.
This week delivering shit to consumers. Well, I guess you can go around through Carson City.
Yeah.
And go sort of around to... But is that an actual highway? Oh, Yeah, and it's a place we haven't been here. So you go down through Carson City and then go over.
Go down through Carson City and then
and turn up at Tonopah, I guess.
With any luck, this map has already updated to reflect this. Ooh, it's actually going to make me do... I'm, like, skeptical that that's actually going to be allowed.
I can't hear you. Are you still there?
You can't hear me? Why can't you hear me? Hold on, everybody.
I can't hear you. What happened?
Why can't he hear me, everybody?
Fucking hell. Is this truck's worth keeping at this point, or should we start?
I don't know. Maybe we should see where it goes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna. So let me. Cool beans. Okay. This is my audio starting up again.
Okay. Cool.
Discord. Datcord. We go down through Carson City and then around. This is where we were.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you is, do you think this loop back that's being suggested to me is actually going to be possible?
I mean, that does look like.
Is it just this exit that's fucked, or is it?
I mean, the exit might work going from the other direction. So.
Yeah, as long as like this road is open.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you just going around might be the safer option, even though it'll add a lot of time to the trucks.
Do we want to add time to this trucks? I think I'm going to attempt what the GPS is telling me to do, and we'll see how it goes. And if it fails, there's always teleportation.
Free camera teleportation, exactly. Okay.
Yes. So what I was going to say is I never know really how to participate in these conversations because it's like, yeah, there's a lot of facts. I don't have a bunch of them. I mostly just try to operate on principle, because it seems like all you can do, and it seems to me like I don't know, like, is what the left needs. Has this ever happened before? Has someone like just kind of showed up to the left and believed that he knows everything? I think the thing we should probably all do is join the real leftists who are doing the food banks and raising money for prisoners and whatever else. You know, see what your local DSA is up to. They're probably doing some stuff with like concrete impacts on people's lives. Like, at least a lot of them are. And I don't know, like that's a form of campaigning in a way. That's one way to build a movement, is to improve people's lives and see if they want to support you because of it.
Are you doing that?
Will it? I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that either.
Yeah, it would be nice to be doing that, but it would be nice to be doing a lot of things, honestly. But if you out there have some, have some spoons, I'm not judging you for not doing it, because fuck.
Yeah.
But, think about it, maybe. Just think about it. I think it's probably the one of the better things you can be doing. It's definitely better than like arguing on Twitter or recording podcasts about how every other leftist is a total dope.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of the sort of DSA thing, unfortunately, or at least it's possible also that like as was the case with the entire Bernie campaign, that the loudest and most noxious people are the ones who discredit the movement, and they're the ones who you hear about because they're the loudest and most noxious, and the people who are actually on the ground level getting things done are the ones that you don't hear about because they've correctly deduced that social media is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that,
and it plays into the other side's hands too. Like,
it's just,
however
it's
not just
so
the bad Bernie Bros might
frustrating.
have been, the other side made sure that the bad Bernie Bros were all we heard about.
Like, we had a fucking general strike on May 1st, and there was no media coverage of it.
Yeah.
There was some scattered Twitter posts. There wasn't even like any organized, left media coverage of it. There were wildcat strikes across the country, which were ignored by consumers, I can tell you firsthand. Yeah, I think that unfortunately, and particularly unfortunately nowadays, because you can't actually get out of your house and go to the meeting because the meeting's not happening.
Yeah, I'm sure there are Zoom meetings.
Oh God, the worst. But it's like, the last meeting of my union that I went to was mostly spent discussing a shady election of the local union's executive board, which somebody had essentially stolen, and all of the fallout that came from that.
You ever see a documentary called Harlan County, USA?
That is vaguely familiar to me. Remind me what it is.
It's about a coal miner's strike.
Right. Yeah, I know this one.
It's sick. Like, we're talking about the real fucking deal here. Like, the company thugs are threatening your roadblock protests with guns and stuff.
Yeah, this is
like,
West Virginia.
The wives just walk out into the street and like sing the protest songs, like completely risking getting shot to do so.
Do you know what the political makeup of those areas is now?
What? I mean, I'm guessing it's pretty red, right?
Oh yeah, it's like the hardest red stuff in the entire nation.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah, it's like the thing about coal mining. That's coal mining, right? The Harlan County thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about the coal mining jobs is that they essentially pay well enough for you to be comfortable, and that creates a very simple two-tier system in these little communities where there are people who have money because they risk their lives going down the mine, and then there are people who don't, and they are living off of welfare. And that's it, because there are no other jobs there. And so in very simple, like, closed system terms, you have the aspirational, this is the good life, and the Democrats are trying to take away the one route that you have to the good life by shutting down coal. So you're a Republican.
Yeah. Sucks.
Yep. But no, it is inspiring. Like, you know, and it has to be said that we don't have company stores anymore, except that Amazon is trying to, you know, reintroduce. Silicon Valley, there's been a couple of instances, I think, of people trying to reproduce script, you know, sort of fun bucks.
Yeah.
I think Disney tried that also. But as a general matter, we don't do script anymore. We don't do company stores. We've, to a certain extent, beaten back company towns and indentured servitude outside of prisons where it flourishes. I think that's the thing to keep in mind, is that, you know, actual progress has been made, and those sacrifices those people made were not entirely in vain.
In many ways, the lifestyle that we're used to is one that has been won for us by
direct
leftist
action
movements of the past.
Yeah, and that's that's what underpins my standard, like, incrementalist feeling, right?
Sure.
It's like there's no. I don't believe that there is a route to, you know, luxury gay space communism. I don't believe that there is a route to actual, you know, systemic revolution. But I do believe that it is possible to gain concessions from our overlords.
So it sounds like in this understanding of incrementalism, it is necessary to have people who are not necessarily incrementalists.
Oh, absolutely, fucking yes.
Who are putting pressure.
Incremental progress does not happen without a left, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a left, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't participate in a left, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the what gets done is, like, that the left fights the street battle, and then elected officials pass laws. Corrupt, you know, rich, bloated, mealy-mouthed elected officials pass laws that curtail the behavior of those companies. And they wouldn't do that if the street battles hadn't forced them into a position where they had to.
It sounds like within this system, the onus is on us to be fighting the street battles rather than to be, like, comfortably voting blue and letting other people do the work.
Yeah, unfortunately that is the case. I mean...
And you're not gonna do that if you're like, if you're saying to yourself, I mean, I'm fighting for as much as we can, like, I'm fighting for a better world, but what I actually expect is incremental reforms, right? You need to believe in something bigger.
Exactly, because the rallying cry, you know, let's make the world 5% better by, sweating, by using our sweat, blood, and tears isn't really a banner that people can rally around, is it? Even though that's actually what's happening.
No. It's actually what's happening. But I think that, there's a difference between describing the process as it plays out and describing your position and what your position ought to be.
Right.
You don't have to conflate the two.
Right. I think you're right about that. So, where to begin? How to go out there and do the thing.
If it weren't for the pandemic, I would say go see what's happening in your area. Go see what's happening in your area anyway. There's probably something. There's probably fundraisers.
It's like their neighborhood associations, most of whom, again, will be focused on making sure that people get to have their own houses and that, the housing projects for the poor people aren't built anywhere near where they actually live.
Fight local. I mean, pretty much all the responsibility about the current crisis has been abdicated toward local governments anyway, so pay attention to your local government.
There are a huge number of, there's a lot of political attention currently being paid to our city council elections. That's the majority of the campaign stuff that I'm currently delivering, which has also contributed to my job being a nightmare recently, but for reasons which I can at least get behind. And it is nice to see basically that in Portland the decision that you have to make is between the people who are saying the right words but actually believe different things and the people who are saying the right words and believe them. Mm-hmm. Although, I also see people who don't understand that and are championing the people who say the right words and have the better graphic design but are shitheads.
Of course. I mean, it's not unintentional that it's almost like it's very difficult to get those reads sometimes.
Yeah.
It's clearly camouflage.
And you actually, because again, we don't have any local media left, you do actually have to get out there and talk to people in order to figure out what the real thing is, which is such a pain in the ass, particularly when you're working all the time and trying to not to, starve in the current political climate.
Another method of control.
Maybe if I just quit my job, I would have more time to do good things in the world.
Some people do somehow dedicate their lives to this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is that, like, you and I have our mental health challenges to struggle with, in addition to the rest of the world. And, like, actually one of the things that I need to focus on is not letting my current rage and despair at the state of things fuck up my entire life.
Yeah.
Because, I got them anger issues, and, right now I'm not taking it out on my friends, which is nice, but I'm taking it out on my bosses, which may have undesirable long-term consequences for me personally. I guess it's a better way to place them. But I can't get away with yelling at my bosses all the time. I will eventually get fired.
I would love to witness these conversations between you and your bosses.
You've seen how I get when I'm angry. Just imagine me doing that to my boss instead of to, my friends. It's not nice.
It's not like a principled stand or like
no. It's me. It's
exactly.
Me figuring out every single little point that I can score and being as nasty as possible in ways that aren't actually productive.
Which that's leftism as far as I can tell.
Oh my god, it is! It is! I'm the problem! I can't get mad enough or I'll I can't start doing that again or I'll unplug my audio interface again and stitch the trucks together.
No, the trucks is unstitched. I've organized it so all I need to do is cut some stuff out of the middle.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Don't you worry.
I think we should keep this trucks, and one of the reasons that I think we should keep this is that this conversation has actually been personally helpful to me, I think.
Oh, that's good.
And who knows,
maybe it'll be personally helpful to someone else.
Exactly, if anybody happens to be feeling the way that I've been feeling. But Josh, I really appreciate your equanimity, just as a general matter.
I'm glad. I mean, sometimes it's partly by choice, and it's partly because, like, I don't like when I go into these conversations with Isaac and with most people, it's like I don't know exactly what he wants to rant about, so I can't do the research. Like if we were having this conversation over like text, I'd probably be able to do some Googling on the side and make some like better, more concrete points. But I'm driving the truck.
Yeah.
I gotta just drive the truck.
I mean, I'm not. But the thing is that I didn't come. Like, I don't need you to convince me. You know?
Sure.
It's not. I think that probably the focus, as you pointed out, the focus on argumentation and point scoring is one of the reasons why we end up paralyzed.
Sure.
When, in fact, as you said, probably the right thing to do is to do the right thing on a very on a very small and understandable basis.
I really do believe that there's a potential, it's a huge ask for it to shockwave out and change the entire country, but I really still do believe that there's a very real effect that doing the right thing does ripple outward and will cause some other people to discover the channels through which they can also do the right thing, and even if it's just in a small local way, the world will get measurably better. I mean, for your efforts.
This is like there is literal truth to that, like people are shitheads because they've absorbed bad values, but in large part because they've been treated badly.
Mm-hmm.
They've suffered, and
that's why people vote Republican.
I mean, we talked about West Virginia, right?
Yeah.
If you can do something to ameliorate somebody's suffering, that person might not grow up or go on to cause harm to 5 other people. Just by helping somebody in their time of need, you may cut short a chain reaction that produces a legion of assholes. Over time. So just generally. Generally offering somebody support when they need it actually can change the world, and failing to do so can change the world.
Yeah. If it helps, you can focus on changing one person's world is still changing one person's world, like completely changing their world potentially. That's not a small thing.
No, I mean that's also like, that is not a small thing, and also not a thing that you can do probably. But,
it depends.
I mean, depending on your personal resources, like,
and on the direness of the circumstance. You individually maybe can't change one person's. It's maybe not one-to-one like that, but you can take part in an effort. That will transform somebody's life.
Exactly. And I think that it's probably best not to think, wouldn't these resources be better put to use elsewhere? I mean, maybe, or
it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
there's so many places where the resources are needed, and they're all real needs.
And so you do the ones that you can do through the methods that you can use that are available to you, that don't require you to be a different person who can do things that you can't do, and so forth.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if things do all go to shit, some of the networks that we build together will survive and help cushion some people.
Yeah. That's the way. Ah, well. Maybe.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Did you say something?
No, I was having a moment of quiet reflection.
Let's just enjoy a silence for a second here.
Yes, I'll use this as inspiration to be less rude about cartoons that people enjoy.
Sorry to hear that work has been hard.
Thank you. I'm sure that it is hard for everybody, but it is particularly difficult for me because I've lost a number of the potential ideological underpinnings that helped me get through the other very difficult busy times at work. I was like, well, at least I'm building to something, and now that's not even clear. The job as I know it might not exist in a year, let alone being able to move to a little town and be a mailman. So You gotta go. You gotta. I'm keeping going because they need people right now, and it would. It feels like a selfish time to quit.
Sure.
But God, I'm tired.
Yeah. Are you still at least getting something? Like, I guess it sounds like this is maybe diminishing. You were describing an effect earlier into this job where it was helping with the depression and stuff because of just all the physical activity and the structure that it creates.
And I said at the time that diminishing returns would definitely set in with that, and I think it has.
Sure.
But there's no question that I'm healthier now than I would be if I wasn't doing this.
Yeah.
But ideally there would be a balance where I could then take some of that energy and do the things that I want to do, as opposed to having one day off a week where I do my laundry, clean my apartment,
going by
grocery shopping,
selfies that you've been posting. You're looking. Going by selfies that you've been posting, you're looking pretty good. I saw one of your pictures and I was like, whoa, Isaac has like more hot guy energy than I'm used to.
That was a particularly good picture. I don't think that that's true. I mean, I'm also, I'm swiftly losing my hair, which ameliorates that effect. But I appreciate that compliment, Josh. You too can achieve this by going out and walking for 10 hours every day.
Easy. There's a joke in One Punch Man that I think about sometimes. Not a show that I greatly love, but this is a good joke where like someone asks how One Punch Man became so powerful, and it goes like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a 10-mile run every single day. And the guy's just outraged, like that's just like an ordinary personal fitness like routine, and it's not even particularly intense.
Yeah, I remember that one. There was a reference to that. There was a reference to that in DBZ Abridged, which immediately comes to my head, which is, how did he get so strong? How many push-ups did he do? How many sit-ups? What kind of juice does he drink? But yeah, as a general matter, I'd still do recommend changing your body in order to change your mind, but be aware that the effect is not a cure-all, and you also actually have to perform brain maintenance, which this was, I think, for me. And I want to thank you, Josh, for receiving it, and also to the people who listen to this who hopefully get some enjoyment out of it. Hey, look, it's the United States Postal Service collection boxes right there.
Hey.
There they are.
I also just want to point out that this entire time we've been driving a milk truck.
Ooh. You've got, I like how the milk truck has steer horns on it.
Yeah.
That's
of course I was hoping, I knew it wouldn't be this, but I was hoping, regardless, that it would be like an oil tanker full of milk.
Yeah, those exist. The milk tankers.
They do?
Yeah, those are real.
Oh, heavenly.
Yeah. I guess we're
I
at the
couldn't
wrong
hear
part
it,
of
but
the
my trucker
chain
just sighed from sleepiness, and it sounded a little bit like he was fantasizing about the oil tanker full of milk, Oh! Just the sound that he made.
It looks like we're delivering the milk straight to the Walbert here, so we're at the final point in the supply chain. So you wouldn't hook up your milk hose to the side of the Walmart.
I guessed wrong. Well, of course it wouldn't be here. This is the customer parking lot. I should have known better.
Yes.
Let's reverse into the other parking lot as best we possibly can while my trucker falls asleep.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
it's
look,
so
somebody's
sad
locked
what's going to happen to his job.
They're polishing the windows there.
It's pretty good. It's closing time, yeah. It's 11 p.m. in truck world right now.
This reminds me, so because I don't shop from Amazon, there's a list of other companies that I do purchase things from, which I update based on reports of their shittiness, in a vain attempt to find the non-shitty company which doesn't exist. And I was looking at the various vaguely contradictory reports online about which
oh god damn it
companies were
My
actually
basic
striking.
reversing skills are fucked.
Yeah, on May Day, and I was like, you know, okay, Amazon, that's fine. I don't deal with Amazon. Don't deal with FedEx. Target, never liked Target. Fuck that. You know, Walmart. Oh, that's a shame. I've kind of been using Walmart. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. Okay, no more. No Walmart. Trader Joe's. That's where I get my entire life from.
Damn.
It's like, fuck. Now where am I supposed to... Safeway isn't on this list? Safeway? And it's like...
It's hard.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do it. I mean, fuck.
Well, I mean, you live in a food desert.
You can't even buy computer parts really without supporting sweatshops.
Yeah.
And we all need those.
Yeah. I mean...
Not to say it's all equal or whatever, just... God damn it, we'll never be completely free of this shit, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. You just have to... I think that... I appreciate, like, for me at least, the trying not to support Amazon thing is just, like, it's... Regardless of, like, the actual ethical effects of doing that, it's part of the discipline of, you know, okay, I can actually not be completely mindless about what I'm doing and how I'm spending my money. And maybe if I do this thing, then that will help me, you know, add more mindful behaviors to that. And then, you know, at some point
I just say
actually leave my house and, yeah. Yes?
This is not on topic, but can I just say that I fucked up reversing through that wide space, and I am, like, now fucking dealing with the fiddly-ass detection on whether I'm actually in the space or not. But I slid into this little nook on the first try.
I did notice that, and I should give you mad props for that, and also a certain amount of booing for the game itself for not, you know, just letting you be. There we go. That was a beautiful parking job. You know, as we approach 1,000 hours of trucks, you know, I know it's not 10,000 hours, but you are actually finally becoming a good parker of a truck.
Wow.
Maybe it's time to take that to real life. Maybe you can finally be a trucker.
Yeah, I too will get a job that's going to get phased out.
You can be the robo-truck maintainer.
I'm gonna try to make it so the viewers can actually hear the music it's playing at us right now.
It's a new edition, and it's so fucking strange.
I'm gonna turn it off after this, but my goodness, it's making this all sound so epic.
You know, if we do get robo-trucks, I wonder if there'll be a culture of robo-truck hitching, where, like, you could just sort of climb onto a robo-truck and, you know...
What's the term for that, when you do that with a train? Train hopping or something?
Yeah. You can just sort of cling to the robo-truck or make your way into the empty cab and go where you want to go because there's only a robot in there.
I bet the robo-trucks will be programmed to deploy tear gas if they detect that happening.
Yeah. The extra weight of a human being will cause them to jettison their cargo onto the road or something.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, good luck.
Yeah, thank you. And hoo boy.
Hoo boy.
Hoo boy.